It's the worst season in history. If we look at 93-94, went down at the last kick of the game, last kick of the season at Chelsea. We couldn't get a point at home to Wigan in 2007, but this season, where has it gone wrong?
Lads!
So relegation to the Championship has been confirmed, and it hurts. When that full-time whistle went last night, even though it was inevitable, there was still a slight tear to the eye that Sheffield United were no longer in the Premier League.
Even though it's been a long time coming, it's no less disappointing, really. Like I said, it's been more of an inevitability rather than a possibility for a long time now.
Relegation, so many factors. I feel absolutely gutted. I think because we played quite well against Wolves, it stings a little bit more.
So as a lot of England settled in on Saturday morning for a period of mourning due to the recent death of Prince Philip, the Blades made sure that the red and white half of Sheffield could extend the period of mourning through the weekend now that relegation has finally been confirmed.
Difficult fans react, I'd imagine, for the Sheffield United Way channel this week. The imminent relegation has finally been confirmed. Nick's asked me to sort of share my views. I can't imagine he's had a queue of people wanting to do it this week, so he's obviously turned to desperation.
Might seem like I'm a little bit incognito at the moment. I'm currently in my bivvy on a North Dorset fishing complex called Coking Farm, fishing for carp. This is the day after the night before, obviously, from when we finally got the news that we were going to be relegated, as if we didn't know from November that we were going to be relegated.
So it's been 16 hours since the final whistle, and no, I really don't feel any different. I think this is so much different than when we went down against Wigan on that last day, that just punch in the gut kind of feeling. This instead has just been that slow, painful bleed where you know the end is near, but now we can finally say it's been confirmed.
The sort of immediate reaction is obviously grave disappointment. The highs that we've experienced in the last few years have been incredible. It's probably the best football, best standard and style of football that I've seen at Bramall Lane. We had a once-in-a-lifetime manager in Chris Wilder, who's then left under grey cloud, shall we say. So I suppose the emotion behind it all and the thrill ride that we've had, it's just difficult to sort of get your head round and consume.
We've been robbed of the chance to experience the Premier League due to worldwide events. It's affected every club, but no more than Sheffield United. The last 10 games of last season, and then 32 so far this season, 42 games, of which the Blades have lost, wait for this, 32 of them.
And really, I think a lot of us saw some signs of this when we came back after the first lockdown to close out last season. We did not look the same side. And then to start this season, if you remember, calamitous start against Wolves, calamitous start against, I think, Villa with the Egan red card. And we just never got going.
It's not been a good season at all, right from the first 6 minutes against Wolves. In the first game of the season, I think that kind of set the tone, really, didn't it? For me, I've kind of had that sinking feeling ever since West Brom away, when we were that dominant and we had that many shots and we still came away with nothing.
Where has it gone wrong? Goals, just not scoring enough goals. Injuries, yes, we can blame injuries. Losing Jack O'Connell, let's face it, was huge.
How we've gone so many seasons without any major injuries, and we've had major injuries to pretty much every single one of our key players this season.
And a stubbornness from our former manager, Chris Wilder, not to change that formation. We just got on a losing run. We kept losing and losing and losing, and there was no sign of going on a good run. Even we're looking the little run we had in January with the FA Cup, the win at Old Trafford, was that going to spur us on? No, because we then made same silly mistakes mistake after mistake after mistake, defensively conceding so many goals from headers, getting forward, not creating the opportunities, not setting line aside.
No fans in the grounds can certainly be looked at as one of them, but again, no teams had fans in the ground. So that could potentially say something about us Blades fans. We may just be the best in the land at getting more out of our team.
Was it a case of poor recruitment? We spent 23 million on Brewster, 18 million on Ramsdale, 5 million Burke, 3.5 on Lowe and 3.5 on Bogle, there or thereabouts. Have they been good buys? I did some research as to what their current market values are. Brewster is 4.86 million current market value, Ramsdale 11 million, Burke around 4 million, Lowe 1.5 million, Bogle 5.5 million. So using that metric alone, you'd probably say, well, we've not done very well because there's only Bogle that's increased his value in that sense.
So many things to think about, like that crest of a wave we were riding, but really scoring 38 goals last season and conceding 38 goals, it was never really sustainable. We actually needed to kind of improve in different areas, I felt, to where we did throw the money around. And I think we'll look back at recruitment and say we got a number of areas wrong.
But I know for some time fans were saying we needed creativity. And I was in that camp. I was like, what are we going to do to sort of create the big chances that we need to overcome the obvious inadequacies we've got against some of the bigger teams in the league.
The front line. I mean, what are you going to do with the front line? Anybody who has any ambitions about us gaining any cash from sales this season is frankly dreaming, absolutely dreaming.
I had a look at the sort of stats compared to this season and last season from a reliable source on the Premier League website, and it's actually surprising in what it demonstrates. That there isn't an awful lot of difference between our team play and our attack and our defence. Obviously, the glaring ones are clean sheets, goals conceded, and ultimately goals scored. But if you look into the sort of finer detail, pass accuracy is actually better than last season. Crossing accuracy, these are just a few token examples. There's not a great deal of difference, 4%. Our shooting accuracy is more or less the same, 32% last season, 33% this season. And even from a defensive perspective, we've last season there was 8 errors that led to a goal, and there's only 4 this season. So there's a lot of surprising things where I expected to see wider margins between the sort of two sets of stats, but the one glaring stat for me was last season we created 60 big chances, and I know there's still a few games to play until the end of the season, but let's face it, we're not going to be creating much more chances based on what we've seen, and big chances created today are 33. So for me, that's the takeaway from that. We've not been able to create those big chances that helped us overcome those finer margins, if you like.
That 12th of March will always remain infamous for me when Chris Wilder resigned. We now know for the second time, but this time it was accepted because we achieved exponentially quickly and got promotion too soon. I do believe if we were still in the Championship this season, Chris Wilder would still be at the helm. And I think we'd be looking at pushing on. And really, when he took charge, if you'd said the next season that we're going to endure in the Championship, that we'd be one of the favourites for promotion by that time, 21-22 in the Championship, you'd have taken that. So we've massively overachieved too quickly for the club, and we weren't able to keep up. Our legs were running at the bottom and we just weren't able to stay stood up. It's a really ridiculous analogy, but you get what I mean. We were just tumbling over ourselves and massively overachieved last season. Couldn't quite get it right this season.
The loss of Chris Wilder, and the unknown that has now seeped in, because we really don't know what's next. We don't know who the manager is going to be. We don't know who's getting sold. We can all speculate. So it's still just that long period of unknown that we have to settle in for.
The writing's on the wall now for us to just welcome in this new manager, welcome in the changes, and hopefully it's not going to be just a repeat of Wilder Ball, and we can just get on with trying to revise our ambitions to get back into the Premier League next season, and hopefully do something which Norwich has done, which, full credit to them, they've done it with practically the same team that they did when they left the Premier League 12 months ago.
I now actually want to not lose too many games, even though we're already relegated, because we could lose, I think it'd be 30 games, which would actually beat Derby's record, and I don't want that. I know we're not going to beat their points record, but I don't want to lose more games.
It's disappointing. I'm disappointed. I'm not surprised. I'm not disheartened. I'm kind of pleased that we've finally had the axe has fallen and we're going down. I think all Blades fans should actually, start to inwardly look exactly at where the changes can happen, and let's get on with de-Wilderising the club. Let's support whoever comes in as the manager. Let's support the board as well. They've had it tough as well. And let's get Sheffield United back where they should be, back in the Premier League, for goodness sake.
Here on out, it has to be planning and trying out new things and just trying to get a little bit of enjoyment back in football, really, and playing with a little bit more freedom.
It'd be the Sheffield United way to go and win all 6, wouldn't it? We know exactly what we're like. Pressure's off now. So come on, Hecky, you're not going to be the man in charge next season, but let's blood the youngsters. Let's see what they're made of. I will always be a Blade, always be proud. This season has been the toughest season for a very, very, very long time. But if you'd have said to me 6 years ago we'd be back in the Championship and a solid Championship side, I guess I would have taken it. So thank you very much for the memories, Blades. It's been great. 2 years in the Premier League. We've loved it. Now the ambition is to get back.
I mean, what a ride it's been. What an absolute joy of a ride it's been to follow this football club after just 6 seasons of League One football and feeling like you were just in football purgatory. To be on this ride and be within a shout of Europe before the pandemic locked us down. Absolute joy to watch.
I suppose on the bright side, we don't have to deal with VAR next season. It's an absolute joke. So here's to next season, Blades, and here's to being back in Bramall Lane to seeing our boys perform.
If you need something to soften the blow, just remember Sheffield Wednesday will be in League One next season. Up the Blades.